Welcome back, fellow cross-country fanatics. The race season is pretty much done, at least in North America, but there's still quite a few things going on. I got a kind of a full list of stuff to talk about. I'm going to talk about Iceman cometh, Puck doing great at a cyclocross race here in the U.S. The 2024 schedule is out. It's kind of weird. What else? Pidcock, 25th place after having, sounds like kind of a miserable race at the Little Sugar. And some interesting gear stuff. What else? That's about it. Let's go.
This is Short Travel Magazine.
Short Travel Magazine.
Interesting tidbits. Curated just for you.
A couple quick tidbits. One of them is the Hall of Fame big induction weekend. That's tomorrow is the big event. Why is this important? I don't know. It doesn't get much lip service. I don't ever hear anything, just between friends, and I don't really see anything online ever mentioned about it. Now, it is in the west coast of the U.S., which, unless you live out that way, probably never going to actually see the Hall of Fame, although it's on my bucket list. This year's inductees are quite interesting. I mean, it's been going on for decades now, so all the old-timers are pretty much already in. Once in a while, they come up with somebody that kind of forgot about, but Rob Warner is in this year. Now that's pretty cool. It seems like, he's a little youngish. Maybe we can seems like maybe he'd be somebody we'd induct in 10 years from now, but it doesn't matter. Rob Warner's in. Gunrita Dale Flescha. I really probably butchered that name, sorry. But she most definitely deserves to be in with purely on 30 World Cup wins. She's the Nino of the women's cross-country field, no doubt about it. 10 world championships, gold medal. That's pretty cool. So she's in. Sean Palmer. Now that's kind of when downhill was almost mainstream, dare I say. I don't know. Palmer brought some pretty cool style into the downhill world. I remember actually watching that. Granted, they were grainy, crappy videos on TV at the time, 96, mid 90s, late 90s when he came about. But man, he was just fun to watch. One of those dudes that was fun, whether he won or not. And then Diddy Schneider. Now I've never heard of Diddy, but apparently built the first bike park in Germany and is kind of responsible for, more of a trail building than a racing thing. So that's kind of cool. Interesting. Downhill, cross-country trail builder, and then, well, I guess Rob would be a downhiller. Although, honestly, everybody probably knows him more now for his Red Bull announcing, so pretty cool. Anyway, tomorrow, Saturday, the 21st, you can show up if you're out there for $40. You can actually go on a ride. Actually, if you're a member of the, it's 40. It's $60 for anybody else. But you can actually go on a ride. There's a 2.5 hour ride the morning of the event. We get to ride with, anybody that wants to, any of the past Hall of Fame inductees, the new ones if they're riding. Then they have a giant barbecue and all that stuff. It sounds really cool. It's one of those things that if you lived out there, it'd be a fun way to spend a Saturday. Me being in the Midwest, that's not going to happen anytime soon, and you do have to reserve and buy some tickets and all that stuff. But anyway, sounds really fun. And then tomorrow night will be the induction. I'm pretty sure they're going to actually stream it live. I could have swore I read that. I'm looking into that. It's called the Marin Museum of Bicycling Mountain Bike Hall of Fame. Anyway, it's interesting that Canyon is the presenting sponsor for the United States Hall of Fame. Interesting. So that's kind of cool that they recognize the importance of that. What else? The other interesting tidbit is wiggle and chain reaction. News came out today that they're in deepy doo-doo, as they say. They're in trouble financially. Now, being, I think I ordered one time from them last year. I was looking to get some fat bike hubs in the 177 rear width, which at the time was starting to look like it was fading out, and I wanted some custom wheels built, so they had some Hope hubs out there at Chain Reaction, and I actually bought them. The shipping wasn't bad. It came about a week and a half. I thought, hey, you know what, this wasn't bad. It's not so much the pricing, it's that they actually had these hubs in stock. I ended up returning them and going with some DT 350s that were found for me, which is what I really wanted, but just the same. Anyway, the company that owns them, Cygnus Sports United, is literally one of the giganto companies, 80 online sites. Think about that, 80 different sites. Now they're in tennis, which is a strange combination with bike. I guess it's not that strange. You got all your bikes. You got your bike shops. You got all your tennis stores and brick and mortar stores. You got Wiggle, Chain Reaction. I mean, the lists are huge. They have camping stores. They have team sports like soccer. They have literally 80 different things going on at least. And the bike stuff is apparently hurting. They've already completely shut down the tennis side. It sounds like some of the retail stuff. Now, Nuke Proof is one of the big brands. Vitus. I mean, they're not huge over here. Nuke Proof still makes me chuckle when I think that it's the same logo and everything. Obviously, purchased the name from somebody of the original Nuke Proof from the early '90s. I believe they were right from state over from me in Michigan. They made some of the coolest high-tech. They had, carbon fiber handlebars, hubs with carbon fiber shells. It was that kind of a, primitive, rough carbon fiber, if you will. It's not kind of the super smooth, dialed-in stuff today, but, That's right. Anyway, you might have seen an email come through your email box last week, of course, in the enduro world. Red Barn type of thing. Vitus, I've never really give two thoughts about Vitus. Red Barn Refresh. I don't see many of them. Anyway, huge companies. Funny thing is, if you go their realms, I believe it's all part of this giant. You'll see it on their ecosystem, or just Google Red Barn Refresh. So they're hurting. But let's be honest, I just did a search for full suspension problems on mountain bikes, carbon. I'm not surprised. Anybody who has tried to buy these bikes or bike really parts in the last few years has realized maybe it's just because I'm as easy as it was in the glory days. Spend $8,000 or $9,000 5 years ago, and if I buy something, pretty much it most certainly wouldn't be a used bike even most through this any time of year. Maybe entire bikes just would be interested. Scarce. They're top of the line, top fuel, the year-to-year rollover in the summer, late 2022. But other than that, you need pedals, 24s around the corner. This is a problem. And this could have been purchased in 2021. So you're starting to see a lot of these bike already. Smaller companies, 80 and the larger companies now, kind of maybe $9,000. I don't know, instead of $11,400. I've certainly done my part. So yeah, $2,500 off in many bike parts the last. But to me, that's years, so where it should be in the first place. But yeah, so will we see some others hurting? Astronomically I don't know. On one hand, I say to myself, saying it out loud, there's something's coming down here, and then quickly they went, for example, top of the line comes out with their 24 models, and the prices are sky high, 12, 10, 12 grand again. It's insane, So they've got some 2023s. Granted, they don't make their same price, $9,000, year profit on to a $9,800 bike. It's now $7,500, zillion more. So. 500 to they're cheaper, $3,000 bikes, but still. For example, exactly a Fuel EX9 makes me feel like I'm getting a deal anywhere, and buying stuff on sale is not always predictable. And something maybe you don't $750 want just because it's on sale. Used bike. We'll see what happens. 24 could be an interesting year. What to say about that? We'll see what happens. Perfectly honest, I think that's. Let's move on. There's a lot of good racing stuff. There are advantages to some of that. To this, I guess.
Racing news and views.
They are warranted for life, they say. Now, I don't know
Racing. Okay.
if that's the exact
First
same
off,
type of warranty that
for
you're
me,
going to be talking.
not that anybody cares.
As a
Again,
new one where
I
no matter
realize
what,
this. I
you
still
know,
like
we'll
talking about
crack
it.
it
Iceman
10
Comet,
years from now.
Northern
30
Michigan.
days to
2
return it
weeks
if you don't
from
like it.
tomorrow.
They drop it off at your front
Very,
door. That's
very
kinda
large
cool.
event. It might be, if I
everything in the
remember
box
them
to build
correctly,
it up is
saying it's
included.
the largest single day
Cracks me up.
mountain
They're
bike event
touting
in the
the
entire
better for the
country.
planet.
They've been going
bit.
at it for
Yeah, that's
30
really why
something
they're
years,
doing
I
this.
think.
Come on.
It's one of those ones I always wanted
They
to
wanna
do.
sell
So
bikes.
I'm
Nothing wrong with
thinking
that.
it was
They
maybe
don't have to turn everything into an
7-8
environmental
years ago.
benefit.
I said I'm going to do this
Somebody
race.
paid for the bike.
And
It was made.
Could have been
So the
2016,
fact that
maybe.
somebody's not
I
buying
think
a
it
new
was.
one doesn't
So
really
that's about
matter
right.
in the
7-8
end.
years.
I can't believe.
What do I know?
Took the could be
The kids
wrong on
my
that one.
kids were probably.
So that's it. Drop it off at
7
your
and
door. You buy a used
11 or
bike.
something.
The
Perfect
only
age, there's a
advantage I can
giant,
see at all
What
is
they
the
call Great
warranty.
Wolf Lodge.
You most certainly don't get a
in
warranty
Traverse
when you
City,
buy one off
Michigan.
the marketplace. You
You know,
could,
those big indoor
however,
water parks.
if you
and
inspect it
so I made a whole big
properly
deal out of it.
and negotiate
couple
a good
nights
deal,
there,
save way more
and
probably buying
Problem was
buying locally used.
twofold. One,
I've bought several
I
used bikes on
was
eBay.
way out of shape in
and
2016.
had zero
I
problems with my. But I
was
saved
probably
way.
200
I saved a
pounds,
crap load
about
on my fat bike.
40 over my
$4,000 fat
my
bike.
ideal
got for
race weight.
$1,800.
and
So Wojtek
bike was
practically new condition. It had
26-inch
upgraded tires
steel
and motors
hardtailed
and
V brakes.
a couple other
Not that the
little
bike
things
matters.
that I
I'm not
liked.
blaming
So
the bike. I'm just saying
I don't know.
I was
We'll see how that
very
plays out.
unprepared
I never
for
really looked at
such a long
what
event in
Specialized is
November
doing in that regard.
when
But
I hadn't just
Interesting
been riding
that
very
Trek
much at
would
all
go down that
year.
that
So
path.
I went
try
into
and
it
get in on
thinking,
that
oh, a
market.
piece of cake, 30-something miles.
What else? Let's talk
The
about
day of the race. It was probably one of the worst, from what I've been told.
Luca
Since
Schwarzbauer's
it's one of the worst
bike
weather
with the
days of the
keep it steady
Iceman
system,
Comet
the
that
KIS
they've
system.
ever had. It
You
wasn't
may have seen this.
super cold. They've
It's a
had
little
cold
internal
days. Wasn't full of
kind
snow,
of a strap thingy,
but it was
I can't
hovering
exactly
right around
describe it
29
well.
to
It's supposed
say
to help
34
slow down
degrees.
kind of the steering.
So it was pouring rain at the
instead
start.
of
Then it switched over to
downhillers
a
have
little
been
bit
known
of
for
hail,
years to
a little
use
bit of
these type
sleet,
systems.
a little bit of
Or
snow,
kinda
and
dampens
the ground
the
was
the
absolutely
left-right
trashed,
turning on the bike.
and it was like
Kind
just
of slows it
every
down.
mile seemed
I've
like
never
10
ridden
miles.
one or anything
It
with
was
one,
brutal.
so I don't really know.
I actually at one
But
point,
apparently
I
there was a
didn't bring
test
enough
bike. It
food,
looks finished,
so then
they
I
call it
kept
a test
stopping.
bike, but it's
They
as
did have quite a few. If I
ready to
remember,
go
I don't know,
as
4 or
I've
5
ever seen a
really
test
nice
bike,
like
so
aid
now,
stations with
Canyon
orange
of course, is
slices
the
cut up for
manufacturer.
you.
I've been looking all
and
year,
Gatorade,
quite literally
and
all
apples
year
and whatever.
at Cannon's
So
website
I
because
ended
they have
up-
had zero
I was just so
Canyon
wiped
Lux
out
cross
that I
country
would
bikes
stop at these things and sit there
above
for
the
5-10
absolute
minutes,
bottom of the line.
chat with the
Say bottom of
other
the line is it,
fat
as if it's a bad
racers who
thing.
were
It's
out of
not
shape and
the cheapest
trying to
one.
catch
How about
their
that?
breath.
The entry level one.
maybe
They've
scrape
had
some mud
none
off
of the
the drivetrain
line or the
and then soldier
second
on. I mean,
line
I
bikes for
actually
sale that
said
I've
out loud
seen.
several times,
used
I will never
clearance,
ever do
nothing
anything like
I
this
just
again.
keep saying coming soon. In
This
fact, I don't
was-
think they released
That
any of
was
the
up until I'd say that was
actual
probably the worst
World
day
Cup
I've ever
bikes
had
that,
on
they
a
raced all
bicycle
summer
in
long.
40
They've been on their website
years
all
of
year.
being
They've never been
a
for
biker.
sale, so I'm
So,
guessing they're just
that was
gonna
it.
skip
Never
the
to do it
entire year,
again.
which is really weird.
wasn't worth it.
They
Took
keep
me
sending me
almost
emails.
5 hours
you're
by
ready
the
to buy
time
a
I
bike.
came
It's
across
like you don't
the
have
finish
any.
line.
You literally have no
For
bikes that I
some
would buy.
stupid
and you
reason,
haven't for
I did
over
not
9
have
months
a cell phone with
since
me,
I've been
so
looking. So
I
that
don't know if you've ever
kinda
been to this
sucks. What are
race,
you-
but
what are you
the
gonna do?
pick up and drop off,
there are a
is
couple
quite
thousand cheaper
convoluted.
than
There's so many
kind of
people
a
trying to
local
get in
Trek
and out.
or Specialized.
It's not
so
like you can just pull up in a parking lot
it's
at the
not
finish
something
line
I would
and
be against
and
trying.
come
I
look
do
for
not need
somebody.
assembly help at a shop.
My wife
I've
had to
been doing
keep
my own work
circling. They
for
wouldn't let her
years.
stop for
So
more
I
than
might,
like 10 seconds.
might
so,
probably be a good candidate for one of these.
Since I didn't have a
type of
phone, I
purchases.
couldn't call her at the finish
either
line and say, "Hey,
Ferrari
I'm done.
or
Come get me.
Canyon or
Maybe
something
let's
like that.
meet down the
If
street."
they don't have them, so
She
can
had
I
to keep
assume
driving
maybe
and
that
circling,
they're
and my kids were little. They were in
saving
the
it and they're
van.
going to
We had a
release it
minivan with a
entirely
DVD
yet
player
again.
back
Although they
then.
just released a new one.
And
a
I
few
guess they
years
just
ago.
kept watching
Seems a little
movies,
early
and the
to
kids were going
completely crazy.
do it again, but maybe
Could
they're
not
going to
find
release
me.
another one with the
I
system
was
in
not
place.
there yet. They kept circling for hours, 2 or 3
And
hours. They kept driving in
More
circles.
tweaked geometry.
They
Although
would
the
park
bikes
at
I
the finish
see,
line. They'd tell them to
World
move.
Cup
They'd go
people
drive
riding
around the
looks
block a
to
couple
be the
times.
same as always.
So
who knows?
eventually we hooked up
That's
there, and
interesting.
that was
Maybe
it.
that
So many
type of
things
thing
went wrong.
might take
that
off.
it
The
just
other
was a terrible
interesting thing about
experience.
that bike is it had
So
egg beater pedals
here I
and Max's
am
tires,
doing it again.
which is really weird.
Last couple of years, I got
I'd say
in
it was just somebody
on the
else's
waiting
bike
list
entirely.
because I
If
really
I
wasn't in the
didn't
mood. You have to sign up, I believe,
notice
in
the
March.
weird
Is when you
backwards
generally
rigid
get your
posts,
name. It's
which
kind of a lottery
Luca
thing,
seems to
from
use.
what
I know
I
he,
believe.
he rides a rigid
You're not
post.
guaranteed to get in, although
Most, if
probably
not all the time,
if you
but I never
start in
realized
March.
that it was.
Anyway,
it's a zero
I actually
offset, but the head is offset.
July.
Looks like
Thought,
a little bit,
you know, maybe that'll be good
10
motivation
millimeters
for
or
me
something,
to
and he's got
keep
it flipped
riding
backwards
the rest of
to
the
push
summer
the
into
seat
the fall.
forward more.
So I put my name on the wait
Interesting,
list
'cause he doesn't look like he would
and
need
I just
to
found out maybe
push his
3,
seat
4
forward.
weeks ago that
Who knows?
I
It's a
made
test
it.
bike.
I
Maybe
paid
it's all
the
for
fee.
nothing.
That's it for right now.
That's enough talk
Luckily, and
about
this is still shocking,
Trek.
they had hotel rooms available.
The Zwift hub with
you know,
the
basically a
single
month and a
speed did
half
come
out.
I've
I've never really
resort
talked
where
where
the
the
actual
actual expo and packet pickup
indoor
and
training,
the race
but now that
headquarters
the
where
weather's
it's
getting
at. They had
crappy
rooms,
already,
and they were cheap.
you know,
They
I've
get paid
already done a
$100
couple
for
rides
room
indoor,
for 4 people,
and I
right there at the
quickly
resort.
remembered how
I'm not sure
I
exactly how I pulled that
truly
off
hate
or
it,
if
but
they really
do
did
put
hold
up with it.
rooms
I
back or
did
something.
notice.
I don't know, but that was a
I'll
miracle.
talk about this more
Because I
probably next
pictured
week.
having to stay, you know,
I did
Detroit and drive
a
4
whole
hours
bunch
up
of
there or
indoor
something.
riding all through the winter.
So
in
am I in better shape
2022,
this
and
year?
then
What's
for
going to happen in
2023,
2
I
weeks?
did not do very much.
I've been
And the difference
pushing it pretty hard the
in
last
how
2
I was
weeks,
able to get
and I have 2
going
more
in the
weeks
spring
to
when I
go.
warmed up
Been actually
was definitely
doing
noticeable.
much longer rides,
So I'm
2
probably gonna
hours
go back
minimum,
to my
and 2 hard hours where I'm going
schedule of riding
kinda
much
at
more
my
indoors
limit,
over the winter, and not
realistic
letting that
limit
go for
that I
weeks
can
on end and
sustain
then trying to
for
get going
2 to
again.
3
So,
hours.
all right, let's
then
move on to
tomorrow
some
I'm
racing
going
real
for
quick. Got some
4
good stuff
hour
going.
monster. Again, not just putting around, but actually trying to push a pace that I can keep. So we'll see what happens. I feel like I already would be in better shape going. I'm not 40 pounds overweight. I'm only about, only about 20 this year. So 15 or 20, that's better than 40. I got a modern bike. Should be fine. And I know how to deal with the food thing. I know what to expect. So this should be great. Then I go right into fat bike racing the very next weekend. The 11th of November starts the fat bike series. Anybody that's ever raced fat bike, anybody in the upper Midwest who can get near Wisconsin, that is good, clean fun. Right there. We'll talk more about that later. There's a lot of connections to the cross-country mountain bike world at these races, so that's kind of why I like doing them. All right, let's move on with the Iceman coming. That'll be that. What else? Puck Pieterse got second at the Trek World Cup last weekend. Fem Van Empel, who is a Jumbo-Visma rider, she was probably, I think she's world champion, and she won the overall, I believe, last year for the elite women cyclocross. She has dabbled in the cross-country racing and has had, I don't want to say no success, but compared to what she's used to, I guess that's safe. She really hasn't done much. So she came and beat Puck. Now, I don't know what Fem Van Empel's been doing all summer. I don't know if she did all the World Cups in Europe, but we all know what Puck's done. Puck has been going full speed ahead, and she got second, so it shows that is she going to keep going? I think she's going to take a little break. But other than that, I was kind of disappointed. There were almost no other cyclocross racers that are also World Cup mountain bikers. Now, Casey Hildebrand, I did an interview with him earlier. Local Wisconsin guy. He kicked butt. He did them. He's been racing almost every weekend now. He got 11th at one of the races. So, I don't know. I like to watch. He's got a bike that's neon yellow, kind of a pinkish red, specialized. It stands out a mile away. So, it's kind of fun to watch the coverage on GCN, and you could see him, cruising through the scenes just by his bike. So, congrats to him. I'm glad I don't even know how you can even finish some of that at the speed they go in the elite cyclocross races for an hour. It looks brutal. So that's pretty cool. What else is there to talk about? What else? Little Sugar. Little Sugar 100K. Part of the Lifetime series. Mountain bike race, 60-something miles, and looks like a lot of it is single track, and it's down there in Bentonville, Arkansas. Everybody calls it the Walmart Trails. I found it interesting because all of the cross-country people in the U.S. seem to have more or less focused on gravel all year. The Keegan Swensons, even the Matt Beers, he's been over here all summer doing these gravel races. So there was a pretty thick field at the Little Sugar. And of course, in case you didn't know, Tom Pidcock came from Mont St. Anne and actually raced the Little Sugar 100. Now that to me is the most interesting thing. I kept thinking, why would he want to do that? He's already been here for a couple of weeks. And it turns out, I believe he mentioned in one of his recent interviews about points. He's trying to get as many mountain bike points that he can so that he doesn't have to do a bunch of mountain bike racing in the spring. And he can go right into the Tour de France, all that stuff. So he didn't gain a lot of points finishing in 25th place, though. So that is probably a bummer. Sounds like, I believe I was told he had 4 flat tires. He just kept flatting and flatting. He's not alone. I mean, a lot of other people did. I think he ended up on a specialized tire somebody gave him at one of the tech zones. So it did not sound like he had a great experience. I'm sure it was fun riding, but not when you're trying to get points. He probably expected to be at least on the podium, if not win an event like that. But anyway, the Bentonville area is, of course, sounds like mountain bike heaven. If you've seen some of the videos of the Kerry Werner, Kerry Werner, he's got a blog you've probably seen on YouTube. He does a pretty good job. You could see a lot of the trails in Bentonville are literally just in neighborhoods. Like the guy he was staying with, can't remember the dude's name. They went out of their garage to do a quick course recon, and he rode down the street like a block, turned a corner, right in between 2 houses. There's a trailhead, and he just right there. They're on the racetrack. Sounds like the whole town. These trails are just kind of mixed in there. That looked absolutely killer. So, yeah, that was an interesting one. That whole area, rumor has it, they're going to build a World Cup level racetrack, and I could totally see, and it would make perfect sense. I don't know about the logistics of airports and hotels around Bentonville, but certainly for a place and a organization that loves mountain biking, a U.S. World Cup stop there would be ideal. Now, it would not be ideal if you want to do Mont St. Anne. They clearly are trying to keep those bundled, a U.S. race and Mont St. Anne, which is why they moved it to New York. A much shorter drive now between the 2 races. So I don't know. Maybe we lose Mont St. Anne. I don't know exactly how it would work, but that would be pretty cool. I would be down there in a minute to see that one. So the last thing, kind of a sucky thing. Jose, they call him Ulloa. I don't know how to pronounce his name. The Mexican World Cup racer who won a short track. Seemed like he was on the way up. He rides for Massi, I believe, in Spain. Massi. They consider him the leader of the team. He missed 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 out of competition tests. No positive tests. They're not saying he, was caught with doping. They're just saying he missed 3 tests, and apparently that's good enough for an 18-month suspension. That's 2 seasons basically. And he kind of had a post, explaining it's an address thing, it's a location thing, moving back and forth from Europe, whatever, but that hardly seems like a good reason to be banned for 2 years. And now everybody's going to assume that you missed these because you were up to something no good. So I guess we won't be seeing much of him for the next couple years. See if he comes back later. I don't know. That sounds like that'd be a toughie. that's it for now. We got a couple other things I want to talk about some gear, and then we'll wrap it. Thanks.
Changing gears. More new stuff we don't really need.
All right, let's talk useless stuff we don't really need. It's not too often when a new product is released and I actually literally have a double take and think to myself, man, if I had all the money in the world, I'd grab me a couple of those. Well, one of them is the Italian company Ingrid. They've been around for a very long time. You don't see their stuff, you see their stuff on like Danger Home bikes, and I can't imagine you're going to see a lot of it on everyday, cross country racers bikes. These are really kind of high end stuff, all CNC'd and 3D printed and all that type of thing. But they have completed their drivetrain of cranks, rear derailleur, and shifter. And I got to be honest with you, the stuff is, in my opinion, stunning. It looks absolutely killer. The cranks look killer. The shifter itself is really unique. Now, Bike Rumor had a whole article on this. They even have road bike shifters. And the rear derailleur looks kind of almost like the Paul derailleur from back in the day. Very kind of boxy, kind of straight angles. Beautiful colors, beautiful machining. But to have that, the shifter is what always, seems like the compromise part. But it's just one paddle, 4-finger, thumb, back and forth. That's it. Very, very industrial. This stuff is squared off and chiseled, and it's, but I don't know. It just looks absolutely beautiful to me. The cranks look almost like military. Actually, the whole series looks military. If we need to know how much it is, of course, we're talking $600 for the derailleur. That's euros. What is that? So we're probably talking the same price as, as an Axis wireless kit nowadays, a whole kit of gear. But still, I don't even care. The colors, the styling, they even have rubber boots they made that kind of go on the flat part of the crank arm where your heel would typically rub, instead of just, putting a piece of sticker on there like SRAM does. It's a piece of rubber kind of molded. I mean, even that looks cool. It's just one of the neatest looking systems I've seen. Does it work? Great, who knows? But if you're building one of those really cool bikes, that's kind of just a display piece, like one of the builder shows, that would probably be the way to go. I would catch some eyeballs. So what else is important about that is that with that and the Vivo, I believe it is, mechanical shifter that's out, where you get to change like 10 million combinations of paddles, what sizes and shapes and distances from the center, rotating point, all these things. It's kind of cool, and I can imagine that's how the high-end mechanical drivetrain is going to go in the future. It's going to be these little niche companies making extremely expensive, cool stuff, and then you're going to have a bunch of people go, oh, I don't need the electronic stuff. I'm cool. I'm rocking the mechanical. Perfectly fine. I get it. I have both right now, and I'm probably going to convert my fat bike over to the old SRAM Axis. Probably going to do that this weekend. I have it sitting here, a whole cassette derailleur shifter, for many reasons, other than main reason is just so that both my bikes are kind of using the same exact systems. It's nice to be able to swap things around. But I tell you, if one of these Ingrid systems was in a local bike shop and I had my credit card handy and things were looking up, I might just put one of those and build up like a nice custom steel hardtail from kurtlow.com, and kind of build an old school, all machined kind of a bike, CNC machine kind of a thing. Pretty cool. It's ingrid.bike for their website. Go check that out. What else? There's an interesting thing, and I don't mean to be Trek-centric, but they sent an email with a link to an entire kind of a website dedicated to what they did to develop the Supercaliber Gen 2. All of the tests they did, and I don't know if they really amount to anything in the real world, but they put electronics on their bikes and they measured they tried to kind of recreate a terrain on a machine of running over, smallish rocks and roots, and then tried to measure if this new Gen 2 could actually save time and energy, and it was very fascinating. You should look it up. I got it through an email. It's on Trek's website. If you need more info, drop me a line. I'll let you know where it is. But after watching it, I just say to myself, they keep touting how much better. They actually compared Gen 1 to Gen 2 with bar graphs. Here's Gen 1 with 65 mil of travel. And here's how much energy you used. And here it is now that it's got 80 or 85 or whatever it is. It's 7% more efficient and 7% this. And I just keep thinking to myself, it'd be even better. How about 100? If 65 was okay, 80 is so much better. How about getting right back to where you started with the top fuel and go to 100, 110 with an option for 120? Wouldn't that make it even more sense? I don't know why their truck is fighting the rigidity. It's stiffer. I get all that, but is there much substitution for actual travel? They keep talking about how rough the courses are now, and then it's like they're fighting. It's weird. I don't get it. How about 100? Why not just keep it the way it was? If you're going to go to a top tube type of a horizontal shock system, which they did, then why not just add in the proper? I don't know. I guess I still might end up with one because they're easier to find around here, and I want the 2 water bottles really bad. But interesting how that goes. What else? I think that's probably going to do it for today. I got a couple other things that I'd like to talk about, but I'll wait till next week when there's a couple new products I know that are coming out that we can talk about. And I got some good old school stuff for next week that will kind of crack you up. All right, that's it. Have a good weekend, and see you later.
Thank you ever so much for listening to Short Travel Magazine.